All right, first question is from High Harmonics. I'm going to call you High if that's okay, instead of saying the high harmonics every time. And his question is about octaves and not being tense on octaves. So there's a variety of issues around playing octaves. Well, first of all, I would say the two sources of tension with playing octaves, and somebody else also asked about broken octaves. So what I'm about to say about the tension sources applies to when you're playing the two notes at the same time and when you're playing broken. Applies to both of them. So when you open your hand as far as you can open it, you'll feel some tension when you open it, just as far as you possibly can admit. And so you don't want to do that. So the little bit of pulling that you're feeling is, I'm going to mute you, Tim. So we have muscles that open the hand and muscles that close the hand. And when you open your hand as far as possible, the tension you feel is that the muscles that close the hand are at their extreme range of motion. So when you're playing an octave, you want to open your hand as far as you can, but don't go so far that you start to feel the pulling. It's a sense of pulling in the extreme. So your hand is very open, but it's not open all the way. Now, for most people, that will not be an octave when your hand is open as far as it will go. For me, it's almost an octave for me. I have a very large hand. But for a lot of people, if you have a smaller hand, it will not be an octave. It might be a seventh. So then when you actually play the octave, you want to feel like as you go to the instrument, you kind of allow the instrument to open your hand. I was teaching that to someone and he got nowhere with that language. I said, okay, as you throw your hand at the piano, feel like you open it. And then as soon as you play, let your hand go slightly smaller again, back to that place where you don't feel any pulling. So it would look like, so my hand is releasing very slightly between each octave. If I'm doing broken octaves, you just keep it at that fully as far as you can extend it without feeling that pulling. And then you're going to have a forearm rotation and also a side to side, a lateral at the same time. There's a little bit of this going on. So that, because if you extend it all the way and you feel that pulling and then you try to rotate, you will have tension in your hand and you'll get tired. So that's one antidote to tension, is this: open it as far as you can, and then when you're playing blocked octaves at the last moment, you open it just a little bit more, and then you relax, you open, you relax, you open, you relax, like that. And I did see a video on YouTube of talking about Yuja Wang's octaves and and it showed how she did this, and I could not find it. So I looked for like 25 minutes. I couldn't find it because I wanted to show it to you guys. Anyway, so that's one idea about octaves. Another important thing with blocked octaves is you want to feel like you're only working in one direction, meaning you don't use your muscles to put yourself down and then use your muscles to pick yourself up. Instead, you're releasing your arm kind of like this. You're releasing your arm into your leg, and that's a very good thing to practice doing. Maybe some of you have already practiced that, but feeling like you can drop your arm, and then when you go to play your octave, you're going to feel like you throw your arm at the piano. There's a little bit of picking your arm up if necessary and then dropping it. And then once you get to the bottom, you bounce over to the next one. It's a rebound. So to practice octaves, I'm going to do the octave passage that I practice forever, which is this one. You would play it, and then you bounce. And then you play it and you bounce. And you play it and you bounce. Like that. So there's so the only activity is this feeling of throwing your hand at the piano. You do not feel like you're picking yourself up. There's only the throwing and then a passive rebound. So and the throwing is a very small, lively kind of move. It's like if you're going like this, like you saw a concert and you just loved it, and you're clapping as fast as possible. That's kind of what the throwing feels like. It feels like that kind of very fast sort of bounciness. And I like that image because sometimes people get their hand really locked. And so like if you were trying to clap for a concert, you would not keep your wrist rigid. On the other hand, you're not doing this. Right? Your wrist is not totally relaxed either. So it's this kind of so to try to get the feel of this throwing and the bounce, I would recommend those two things, like throwing your hand at your leg and then try clapping into one hand and then try throwing at the keyboard and try maybe go back and forth to try to get that feeling of the free dropping into the key. So that's a very fast, like bird's eye view of octaves. And Hi, why don't you, when you try it, give it a try on your passage in Haydn. And then if you have questions or something works or it doesn't work, then go ahead and post in the community. I tried this and now I'm feeling that, and what should I do next? Because it can be a long process to learn how to play them fast. It has to be very refined. So that's my answer to that one. That octaves were a problem for me technically for a very, very long time. So that's one of the things I practice the absolute most is octaves. So I have a lot of experience with practicing octaves, and I'm happy to share it with you.